live now. There's one person watching us. I'm going to hand it over to Matt Keane from Questioning Sense. I keep forgetting. There's another one, isn't there? There's the Scientology Questioning Sense, but there's another one with something sense, and I'm just getting confused between all of them. So, but yeah, I'm gonna bring him on so that you can talk, because he's going to conduct the interview with you. Yeah, not me. He's got some very hard to hit questions for you. What's your favourite colour?
Right. I run out the door then.
Right, so I'm going to hand over. There's 2 people watching. I think there's 4 people watching now, so everyone's coming back on because I haven't mastered the streaming thing, right? So I keep having to do different streams. We'll sort it out for the next time, but for now, people are manually switching. So we've got 5 people on. So just give it a minute or 2 until everyone comes on, and maybe just have some
sure.
Get to know him. So Matt, he, by the way, he did a really good review of your Mashuk and Matt group, others. He was really impressed with them. And you had a question about one of his orders as well, so you can ask him.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hi Matt.
You good?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So I've got a bright light to shine in your face, so we can crank up.
The thing is, you have to. Fahim was supposed to do this, and last minute he landed me in it, right? So I'm not completely prepared, but obviously I'll answer your questions as best as I can.
That's fine. The whole thing's being recorded, so it can be used against you at a later date. So no worries. Right.
Yeah.
Do you want,
right, no worries.
Right, how many have we got here? Do you want to kick off? Should we get started?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is now, isn't it? Yeah. 5 or 10 or 15, whatever.
All right, no worries, buddy. So I'd like to start, because I understand that Imperial Oud have been around for sort of like 10 years. So if you could tell us a little bit about the beginnings and where you've come from and how you've come together to become Imperial Oud, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. So if you look at Oud itself, obviously being of Indian background, you know, agarwood, or what we would call agarbatti. My granddad used to sort of light it up in the house, you know what you call incense sticks now. And from what I remember, his cousin used to have a shop, and he was called Agarbatti Wala, and he used to sell it in the Gujarat region, many years ago now. So me personally, growing up, we always had agarbattis in the house, and you know, I was sort of always intrigued on sort of, you know, like, I used to stare at the smoke. I remember as a child, you know, as it used to rise up, and it was very different to anything that we had. And my granddad used to love rose as well, so we'd always have rose. And whenever we went to like Saudi for pilgrimage or the minor pilgrimage, we'd bring stuff back. And then, you know, sort of, I never really got into artisanal oud sort of until 2009, 2010, something like that. Is it still on? Is it stuck?
Yeah, no, it's still going.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
All right. I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Oh, okay. No, I keep very still normally anyway. So, all right. So that's kind of like the background. So obviously, Oud is in your blood, should we say?
Yeah, the background. And then, for him, and then like Fahim and I, we met because, you know, sometimes you'd pick up older oils or, you know, stuff that you couldn't find on eBay and so on. So I came, what did I want? I think it was a Agarora or Russian Adams or something like that. And Fahim said, oh, he's got it. And I met him in Bradford in a hotel, and then we just started discussing, you know, about oud and whatnot. And he had a passion for oud as well. So I thought, you know, it's rare to meet somebody, especially back then. You know, it's rare to meet somebody who really liked oud and whatnot and wanted to sort of discover further. So I came up with the idea, like, why don't we set up a company of some sort, and we'll just try and get out there. Initially, we didn't have any big aspirations or anything like that. It was just, let's see what we can get. If we can get oud for ourselves that we enjoy using and whatnot, that's enough. And if we sell a little bit, no problem. And then that kind of snowballed, and then we started speaking to more and more distillers out there, and we did quite a lot of research.
I noticed that things really changed for you guys.
And then we went out there.
In 2017, things seems to have picked up, or changed quite dramatically for you guys with Oudix giving you the title of Vendor of the Year. Did that make much difference to how you saw?
Yeah, I mean, we started. I mean, we started on the Base Notes, forum, the original Base Notes Oud forum. And then when that got shut down, Nadeem had the idea of having an Oud only forum. So we were one of the first to join, because we thought, why not? Let's support somebody like Nadeem. And then that kicked off. And then at that period of time, we were trying to develop further as well. So Abdullah joined around 2016, 2017, and he had a passion for oud, and he'd spent quite a bit of time at home in England distilling sandalwood, and he'd done some small oud distillations, like a few kilos here and there. So it was a perfect sort of opportunity. He joined us, and then we started doing more. I think it was Sri Lanka. We were sort of one of the first ones out there to Sri Lanka, and especially not just to look at wood, which the Arabs and the Chinese were doing anyway. We were sort of looking at oils, So we spent a bit of money there. They had some old kind of equipment that they were using for essential oils for cinnamon and clove and things like that. So we upgraded their equipment. We bought items from Indonesia and whatnot, got them shipped over, better condensers, better general pipe work, because he used to use a lot of rubber piping and things like that. So we got glass, borosilicate piping and whatnot sent across. And then, we did because we bought quite a lot of equipment, we did a similar thing in India. So when Abdullah went out to India, to Assam, I think that was about 2-3 years ago now, instead of doing the normal sort of Assam stations that a lot of people were used to, he took a lot of the gear over, and he did a distillation where they were very, very surprised, because it's like the water and stuff like that, you use well water, it's fine, you can use it, a lot of people use it, but it's not filtered, nothing like that. So he went, and there's still some videos on YouTube, you can see that he went especially to like markets and things, and to find filtered water. And we use that. So he was out there for a good couple of months, and he spent a lot of time distilling various oils and whatnot. Even now we still got some of his stuff that we're selling. I think that Assam Asli, it might not be on the website yet, but that that especially for Hindi oils, for us anyway, that was just a proper sort of like a paradigm shift, if you want to call it. We went from good smelling Hindis to something that smelled absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
And even the guys there, they were saying, "What are you doing distilling this wood?
Yeah.
You could sell this. You go to Dubai or whatever, you sell it for 1,500 a kilo or something like that." And we're like, no, we want to distill it. So it was amazing, and we got a hold of a lot of wild wood and even sinking Hindi wood that we've sold out now. But that, of course, and then with Oudix at the same time, we had a good audience and market, and people were sort of seeing us for what we could do.
So how are you? I mean, obviously, with the wood, selling wood as chips itself, how are you finding availability of good wood to sell? Is it something that's easy? We understand that obviously it's becoming more and more scarce. So how does that affect your sort of supply?
it's difficult. It's difficult now because, like, if I look at the business now and if I look at how to go forward, it's going to have to be very well sort of kept reserves that you're going to tap into, and then it's plantation. It's mainly plantation now. You might get hold of some wild from some kind of collector or something like that, but it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. To get hold of stuff like that. I mean, we still sell stuff which was distilled by other people. We make no qualms about that. We're not here to try and sort of badmouth anybody else or whatever. We work with distillers, and we also buy from collectors or distillers, and we do our own stuff. So if you smell a lot of our oils, you'll find sort of similar signatures. Where you might sort of pick up the not notes as such, but you might pick up like a quality of the oil.
Yeah.
So, like where, and I know other sort of vendors do it as well, where they're very specific on temperatures, soaking of what they want their wood to be soaked at. How you ramp up. When you start distilling, what temperature you start at, how you ramp it up, how you ramp it back down. So if you use that on a similar, on a different set of it, let's say Indonesian, or you use it on Cambodia, or you use it on Malay or whatever, but if you're using similar kind of ideas, then you kind of form a signature of your scent, as your house. But then again, some of the best stuff that we sold, we didn't produce it, like Natrang Ultima. That's from a collaboration, so.
So I've just lost my screen a sec. Let's try and get the details.
Oh, right, yeah.
No, half my screen has disappeared, but if you just carry on for us, please, buddy. Nadeem.
Yeah.
Nadeem. I'm sorry, sorry. I do apologise.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So with the market as it is, are you looking to sort of? I notice, beard oils and things like that are coming into play.
Yeah.
Is this another way of taking a product to a different market, or is this going to be something?
Yeah, I think. With the beard oils, that was Abdullah's idea, sort of himself. He said you could get beard oils everywhere now, but why don't we make something that's really exceptional? So, like stuff you use like orris butter, and there's so much oud in there. There's sandalwood. It's a really, really high quality beard oil. And it smells quite nice, although the smell diminishes quite quickly because you don't want a very, very smelly beard oil.
Yeah.
But that was something we just thought we can add to that. We can bring it to, like I say, like another market and all, and maybe those people might try ouds, going further. But if nothing, at least people can try our sort of quality. So
I think it's a fantastic way of getting oud out to people that they're looking for another way to wear it, because not everybody wants to burn wood, and not everybody wants to swipe oil. I mean, I come from more of a perfume using background, and I think it's a good way of integrating this a new smell, for want of a better word, into a sort of a more mainstream society in that respect. I'm always fascinated when I speak to people like yourself who are involved in oud, what your thoughts are of oud in perfumery, and does it give oud a bad name, or does it whet the appetite for people to explore oud further?
I'm sure if you ask people who have come into oud, let's say in the last couple of years, they've probably heard of it initially, like Tom Ford or Killian, or what was the other one, Creed, Royal Oud, or stuff like that. They would have come across that and thought, what is this oud? Tried it as a spray form, as a branded, whatnot, and then maybe just research what is oud, where does it come from, then come across forums like Oudict, or vendors that are known out there, whether on Oudict or not, and they probably bought samples, thought, what is this thing? Because it's not a Western, well, it is getting he's getting more and more known in the West, but obviously originally it wasn't. So, I mean, we've considered going into that kind of spray, perfume, oud market, but then we decided against that, you know, because I think first of all, you've got issues with alcohol-based perfumes, like selling them, because you know you've got to have a lot of legislation approval, and you know, a lot of couriers won't accept it and whatnot. Especially if you sell it as a spray perfume, you know, you need a lot of kind of things behind it. And secondly, you know, it was just something that we weren't that interested in, you know, being brutally honest. You know, we just thought, no, we like oud as it is, and we like natural perfumery as it is. Let's just stick to that. And hopefully people will come round to us sooner or later and try our things and think, okay, these guys are quite good as well, you know, in this particular field.
If you know, obviously, my dream would be that everybody that's kind of in perfume or likes perfume will start to make that transition to, you know, explore this magical material more. And obviously, when I've got the opportunity to speak to someone like yourself that has got that back, you know, you've come the other way. You know, your history has been sort of Ugarwood, and then kind of, you know, you have more experience with that than you did with perfume. So, you know, you've done it the other way around. And obviously, your strengths and knowledge is from the oud world. What would you, you know, I soon discovered that I really liked a Hindi oud. I love that Barney facet. I like that kind of oud more. But you know, what would you recommend with your experience to people that are watching this that aren't too into oud? Where would you, you know, what way would you suggest to them to start the journey, as it were?
I think the easiest to sort of fathom or to entertain would be the Indonesian stuff, you know, because a lot of the Indonesian oils are vanillic, green, soft greens, sometimes slightly spicy, but you know, they're kind of more palatable, definitely. And then you know, you could try Chinese oils now. You know, wild Chinese is getting very, very, very hard to get a hold of. You know, like the material now is just almost gone. You know, you might find it with somebody. So a lot of the Chinese stuff, which is cultivated now, some of it's not bad. You know, you can get good quality cultivated wood and get somebody to distill that, or you know, go over and distill yourself. Chinese is good. It's herby, slightly medicinal. Sweetness in there as well. You get some honey notes and stuff like that. Cambodian, you know, if you get a good Cambodia oil which was distilled well, it's quite nice. You've got some fruits to it. You've got toffees. You've got, you know, berry kind of aromas. Very palatable for a Western nose. You know, you're like, wow, this is quite nice. It reminds me of some kind of tart or something. You know, so those I would say are easier. Malay, you can have really floral Malays, but a lot of the Malays you might produce quite a deeper, more intense, like a more robust kind of a coffee almost. So you might take longer to get into that. Even the Hindis, you know, some of the Hindis, especially the ones that we did with Abdullah, like you would be surprised that this was a Hindi. There was zero band to it. Very, very oral honey. Yeah, like Shah Jahan, Bahadur, Alamgir to an extent. You know, if you try those oils, you'll be like, wow, you know, this is something very different, very, very different. Like Shah Jahan, especially. I mean, I have very little amount of it myself, like a gram or something, and I use it sparingly, but it's just, it's something unreal. And if
it sounds awesome, right?
Yeah, it's very, very unique oil.
I think for me personally, I want the Hindi to smell like a traditional Hindi, if you know what I mean. I like that facet.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's a Hindi.
The thing with that is, but there was a conversation. I'm sure it was Daha who started it off, and he was saying, would traditional Hindi oil have smelled barney, because I mean, people might be like, oh no, it's always smelled barney, it's always smelled barney. But what you got to realize is that let's say when Ajmal and these guys started up, and Abdul Samad Qureshi, who were like the sort of the actual sort of foreigners to commercial oud,
Yeah.
they were able to get hold of wood from Assam, good quality wood. I mean, good quality stuff, you know, like sinking grade and whatnot, for very, very, you know, like almost free. You know,
Wow.
they were able to get it from Assam, you know, probably not even $1, sort of nowhere near $1 a gram. It'd be way, way cheaper than that. You know, like you could probably pick up kilos of it for like $15, you know, back then, obviously in the 70s, 60s. And when they were bringing it over and when they were having it distilled, they wouldn't need to soak it so much, because one of the reasons you would extend your soak is to try and really, really soften the material to try and get as much oil out as you can. Now, if you don't have that restriction, if it doesn't cost you that much at all to find trees, if there's no rush to get hold of oud, arga wood, why do you need to soak the hell out of it? So you would get really good quality wood, just dash it in some water for a little bit, yeah, it's a bit soft, and throw it into the into the pot to distill it. So I haven't got hold of any genuinely old oils. You know, I know there's some people that say there's €100, you know, Hindi oud or whatever, but if you could actually get hold of something genuinely from 1920, 30, 40, it would be very interesting to see if it smelled barney or not. Because I don't know why it would. I genuinely don't know why it would, because you would just take the wood, chip it, you know, soak it for a little bit, yeah, it's soft enough, and throw in. I just don't understand why you would go to this extent of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month of soaking, because it didn't cost anywhere near what it costs now.
Yeah. So, and also the abundance of it then as well. There would be no pressures on the distill.
You could find, you know, really high grade Assamese wood, you know, probably 60s, 70s, 80s. It was only really after that when the Arab market and the big powerhouses in sort of the Arab culture of Abdul Samad Qureshi or Ajmal or Al Haramain, you know, these kind of guys, when they started developing big businesses, and they had demand from not just Saudi Arabia but Dubai and Kuwait and Qatar. You know, they had stores everywhere, store in the airport, duty free. You know, once you get to that level, you're not able to supply the old quality oud. You know, before you could probably have done that. You know, so I mean, it's the same. If I look at, let's say, what we did in Sri Lanka when we got in, yeah, there were Chinese guys there and there were Arab guys getting the wood out, but in terms of oil grade wood, the first few oils that we distill in Sri Lanka, that grade of wood now it costs you like, you know, like per kilo you might be looking at 15,000-20,000 pounds. You know, it was nowhere near that back then, nowhere near that. Wow. So the shavings that you were getting and using, yeah, we kept a lot of. I mean, I still got some really nice chunks of sinking Sri Lankan wood. But the shavings of that went into the pots were unbelievable. I mean, whoever bought Adrijaya, the first one from us, or Rajakia, or Ceylon Royal #1, those were amazing oils because of the material that went into it, you know. But now to do that, you have to have really deep pockets, you know, and you have to have customers that are willing to pay for that, which is hard.
So what would be your favourite, you know, on a personal level, what would be your favourite oils to work with? You know, what would be your favourite type of oil to distill, to work with?
I mean, Hindi is still really good. If you can get hold of the material, Hindi is, the aroma is just, I don't know. It's hard to describe the honeyed, fruity kind of sweetness that you get out of Hindi oil. That's why Hindi is so revered, because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't mind the ban, because once the ban goes, the sweetness will come out afterwards, and they really enjoy that, you know, peachy kind of toffee sort of aromas. But personally, I mean, Sri Lankan, unbelievable. You know, the oceanic, vanillic, slightly hint of jungly, mango kind of aroma. It's just fantastic. You know, really, really nice. Vietnam. I mean, we've not touched on Vietnam, but you know, Vietnam is sort of the original Kiara, Kinam, or whatever you want to call it. You know, those Vietnamese, Cambodia, you know, kind of related Sinensis, Krasna species. You know, again, fantastic stuff. I don't mind the Indonesian, and sometimes you can get a very nice quality Indonesians. You can get very nice quality, like Borneo's. The Malina oils are amazing, you know. But if I was to go to just one sort of thing, probably Hindi or maybe Sri Lankan, then sort of the Viet and Cambodia stuff.
I tried. You're going to have to forgive my pronunciation here because I'm going to butcher it.
Sure.
But the Al Mashriq and Al Maghrib earlier,
Yeah.
And absolutely amazing, really, really good. Can you tell us a bit about the background of those?
I would see. This is why I wanted Fahim to be here, because Fahim is the one that made both of them.
Right.
Those are so they're both oils or attars, as you want to call it. They're not. They're not attars in the true sense of the word, because I think attar in the true sense of the word means you distill all the ingredients together. So this wasn't an attar; it's a mukhallat, which is a mixture. But right nowadays, we kind of intertwine the two terms, attar and mukhallat. But attar really is where you take agarwood, rose, sandalwood, clove, cinnamon maybe, or you know, whatever, the variety of flowers or whatnot, chuck them into a pot, and then you distill them together, and you have a distilled oil at the end, which is a blend of all these essential oils. That's an attar. And mukhallat, which is what al-Mashriq and Maghrib are where you take essential oils and then put them together, layering them to form a base, and then, you know, the way we've done them, we've kind of made a base first, which is more the sort of the traditional way of, even I think if we look at French perfumery, where and this I got to know a lot more about with Marius, who joined us for a little while, where he would make, and then this is what we sort of did with Mashriq and Maghrib, where you make a base and leave it, you make a middle and you leave it, and you make a top and you leave it, and then you combine the base and the middle, leave them for a while, combine the top afterwards, and then you get a genuine oil where once you've applied, you get a beginning, a middle, and an end. You know, proper top, middle, and base note. So Fahim did that with Mashriq and Maghrib. I think from what I remember, like Mashriq is more sort of western, eastern based. So there's more oud into it. There's more florals. There's more camphor, I think, and is use those kind of elements. And then with the Maghrib, which is the western part, is use more florals to make it more western palatable, as it were. So yeah, I mean, those two, he did a very, very good job with them.
Absolutely amazing. Really, really impressive stuff. I think I'm going to have to wrap this up. People are waiting. I think we're running out of time. So I just really wanted to say thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute journey, a real pleasure for me to hear about this. And I hope everybody else has enjoyed it. But thank you so much, buddy. Really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy. Nice one. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.